Today's episode is not just about corruption. It's not just about tenders. It's about how a man you may have never seen a picture of, despite being mentioned in countless investigations, managed to build a hidden empire worth hundreds of millions, all while staying in the shadows. His name is Hangwani Maumela. And trust me, once you hear his story, you'll understand why silence has been his greatest shield. Now, let's begin at the strange place where this story starts. Silence. Despite widespread reporting on corruption, from big outlets there is one thing that's missing. And it's not the evidence. It's not the allegations. It's not the reports. No, it's pictures. You can find endless photos of the Guptas, of Marcus Joste, of Bossa's Gavin Watson. But when it comes to Hangwani Maumela, nothing. No public pictures, no videos, no recorded footage of him arriving at court, or being chased by journalists, or even casually walking in a mall. Nothing. This is not by accident. For a man accused of siphoning hundreds of millions through the health system, this anonymity is unusual. It is deliberate. And the more I dug into it, the clearer it became. This was not a man who stumbled into tender deals. This was a man born into the networks of power. You see, Hangwani is not just any businessman. He is the nephew of President Cyril Ramaphosa. That's right. His father, Hope Mudau, is the brother of Hope Mudau, Ramaphosa's first wife from back in 1978. His mother, Mboneni Maumela, worked as a director at the Limpopo Health Department for 2 decades, from 2001 until 2021. Colleagues say she was the one who taught him the ropes of the tender system. Imagine that. From the dinner table at home, he wasn't just learning about schoolwork or soccer. He was learning about procurement, supply chains, and loopholes. And if that family connection wasn't enough, there's more. Because Maumela wasn't just floating around with cousins at weddings. He was connected to Mboneni Maumela, a name you might recognize from the CR-17 campaign and the Pala Pala scandal. Maumela was Ramaphosa's fixer, his campaign handler, the man who made calls behind the scenes, and he happened to be Maumela's neighbor in Hyde Park. They were so close that Maumela was reportedly spotted lounging in Maumela's home, in slippers and a bathrobe. Think about that for a second. A presidential fixer, spending casual mornings at the home of a tender mogul. That's not coincidence. That's proximity to power. But let's move into the money. Because this is where the story turns dark. Maumela's companies, 9 of them, earned over 400 million rand from Tembisa Hospital contracts. And if you followed South African news, you know that Tembisa Hospital is not just another hospital. It's the place where Babita Deokaran, the whistleblower, worked. Babita flagged suspicious payments to these companies. She saw the red flags. She knew the money was being siphoned. And for that, she paid the ultimate price. Many believe that her murder was not random. It was a message to anyone else thinking of blocking the cash flow. And when investigators looked closer, they discovered that Maumela wasn't some passive supplier sending invoices from afar. He was deeply involved in Tembisa's supply chain offices. People described him as acting like a don. He started supplying Tembisa in 2018, the very year Cyril Ramaphosa rose to power. Coincidence? You decide. And it wasn't just Tembisa. His reach spread across other hospitals in the Gauteng Health Department. Wherever there was procurement, his fingerprints were there. Now let's talk about how that money translated into wealth, because this is where the numbers become dizzying. Maumela's fortune was managed through the MHR Maumela Family Trust, founded in 2016. MHR stands for Mboneni, Hangwani, and Rumani, his sister. Through this trust, he bought properties that make the Gupta's estates look modest. Let me paint the picture. A 32 million rand mansion in Camps Bay, bought in 2018. A 75 million rand Bantry Bay mansion, purchased in 2020. A 13.5 million rand home in Pecanwood Estate in Northwest. Another 13 million rand property in Hurlingham, Sandton. A 16 million rand spot on Oxford Avenue, Sandton. A 25 million rand Hyde Park villa. 2 Zimbali beachfront homes, each worth 35 million rand. That's 70 million rand just on vacation homes, and a 70 million rand Sandton stand. 2 Sea Point flats worth 30 million rand in total. Add it all up, and you're looking at an empire of around 310 million rand. And that doesn't even include the furniture, the cars, the Lamborghinis, the private jets, the lifestyle. That's just the brick and mortar. And while most South Africans are struggling with load shedding and rising food prices, he was building a real estate empire that could rival entire corporations. Now let's circle back to that connection with Mboneni Maumela. Investigative journalist Jeff Wicks, in his book The Shadow State, reported that a black BMW X5 registered to the Presidential Protection Unit was spotted at one of Maumela's Sandton properties. Now, did this mean the president himself was visiting? Not directly, but the suggestion was that Chaka, not Ramaphosa, was making use of it. Still, the optics are damning. Chaka and Maumela, neighbors, allies, linked by family and politics, and both living close to Ramaphosa's official residence. This is not 6 degrees of separation. This is 1 degree. But the story doesn't end with tenders and houses, because every empire has its enforcers, and in this case, that enforcer was Vusi Cat Matlala. Matlala was described as the muscle of the syndicate. His company, Cat Protection Services, was raided by police. They seized weapons and linked the business to multiple violent incidents. Attempted hits on taxi boss Joe Sibanyoni, attempted hits on socialite Tiboho Tobajana, and even the murder of DJ Somebody. Here's the kicker. In 2017, Maumela himself was briefly registered as a director of Cat Protection Services. Just 4 days. But that paper trail proved the connection. He quickly removed his name, but by then it was too late. The link was established. The Don had an enforcer. And then came March 2025, just a few months ago, the Zimbali meeting. On the 18th of March, a WhatsApp trail revealed that Maumela gave Matlala the gate codes to his luxury Zimbali property. Matlala then passed those codes to none other than Police Minister Bheki Cele. Yes, the very man tasked with upholding law and order. Cele admitted to meeting Matlala at a house. He denied knowing Maumela, of course, but fact-checkers quickly caught contradictions in the story. Why would a police minister be meeting with a man linked to assassinations at a luxury estate owned by a tender mogul? It doesn't take a detective to see the rot. That meeting showed direct ties between Maumela, Matlala, and Cele. Now, remember Babita Deokaran? Her assassination still hangs over this entire story. Many believe Maumela's network orchestrated it, to silence her, to keep the tenders flowing. And the tragedy is, despite arrests of the hitmen, the masterminds remain untouched. The people who gave the order are still out there, living in mansions and sipping champagne. That is the shadow state we live under. But cracks are beginning to show. The asset forfeiture unit finally swooped in. They seized Maumela's properties and his 4 Lamborghinis, worth over 300 million rand. Yet even in this dramatic moment, the silence continued. No media footage, no pictures, no images of sheriffs hauling Lamborghinis onto trucks. Nothing. It's as if the public is being shielded from seeing the downfall of a man who had hidden for so long. And so, we end this story where we began. Silence. No pictures, no videos, no real accountability. Just whispers, paper trails, and broken lives left in the wake. But the truth is, silence is not forever. Sooner or later, the walls close in. Sooner or later, the deals unravel. And sooner or later, even the most invisible man is dragged into the light. This has been SA Daily Insight. My name is Peter, and I want to thank you for watching. If you found this story important, share it, talk about it, and don't let silence protect the powerful any longer. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay safe, stay informed, and never stop asking the difficult questions. Goodbye for now.
Life of an artist, bad shot by spices, glorifying drugs as a stage fright cure. You can try this just when you're about to grab your chance of staging. Excitement, you can't think. out this industry? Or should I say this killer dream? Cause you will swear that from the start it was designed to kill artists. Bangakulwela when days are bright, unguthembekile. As a human being on Instagram, ungxekekile. Too much pressure, unrealistic expectations. Whoever said that is the perfect ilizwi lahlekisile. Is with us, uthembekile. Singiza uthembekile. Remedies within us as ikhwemba sibhebhekile.